Hey, Pascal from Orangepixel. Welcome to another video. Recently somebody asked me how many games I released as Orangepixel. I had to do some counting, had to go through the whole website, figure out I was missing a few old games. But the new game, Space Grunt 3, is game 71. Commercial game 71 for Orangepixel. And that's not including a bunch of projects I did for other companies in the early days of Orangepixel. I think Jake Burkett asked me that. He is famous for his video of going for many years without a hit game. Same here, no hit game, but 71 commercial games. As explained last week, only one of these games has not been profitable yet, but we're working on that. However, I'm not going to talk about the latest game I'm working on now. We are actually moving down in history. Let's go down here. So the games on this page are the one I still maintain and push to as many platforms as possible. Stardash, Groundskeeper, two very oldies, 2011, 2014. They are available on Nintendo Switch. They of course are also all available on iOS and Android. That's where I started. Well, that's where I started around 2009. Before that, I did Nokia's and Sony's and all those devices. Those games are hidden on the game's legacy. If you ever want to see them, check out orangepixel.net. There's a huge amount of games not shown here. So Stardash, Neoteria, Meganoid, Grandpa's Chronicles and Groundskeeper 2 are great games, but they have never been officially released on PC. I think I have them up on itch.io if you want to check them out. Those are the old versions, because this past week I spent a lot of time pushing these games into modern era and making sure they are ready to go onto Steam. 4 new Steam releases, and after Steam a lot of other marketplaces. Now I surprised myself that these games are actually still a lot of fun to play. I enjoy them a lot. It's of course they're dated, or a little bit dated. They don't have roguelike elements and they don't have all the modern things that you like to see in games these days. But remember, this game was made in 2011. We're talking about games that are well over a decade old. That doesn't mean they should be forgotten and never to be played again, because they are still a lot of fun. So is it worth it to keep your games alive and updated or not? And how much work is it? Good topic for a video. Okay, so the biggest problem I have right now with a lot of game developers is they try to create a hit game or a great game or a huge, big, awesome game, release that game, and if it doesn't meet up with what they expected to earn from it, and in most cases that is the case, they forget about the game and they either move to the next game or they quit game development completely. That's not how I've been doing my business as Orangepixel. I try to keep all my games, or as many games as possible, up in the air, afloat, working alive, and try to keep them updated for whenever certain things need updating. And that's usually based on the system they run on, or maybe updated for a new platform. And in this case, getting these old mobile games originally designed for mobile, so that means the interface is very much use your thumb and to press and touch things. That doesn't really work on PC. So the interface in most cases needs an update. Now some of these games, the very old games, didn't even run at 60 frames per second. So I need to fix that somehow. The early Android devices were limited at like, I don't know, 21 frames per second. That was about it. So I built my games around that, knowing that they would never run faster anyway. Kind of stupid thought, because obviously Android devices get faster and faster and your old game should still run on it. So those things are fairly easy to do. The thing is that PC gamers, especially those on Steam, they prefer a host of settings, changes, options, and I get where that comes from. AAA games, they have all these options because not all PCs can handle everything at full. So you get a lot of options and things to tweak and change. But sometimes a game doesn't need that. For my games, it just means I have to make sure you can change the input, the gamepad controls, the keyboard controls and mouse options, resolution settings for Windows, but that's mostly full screen or not full screen. I think I provide 3 different windowed resolutions. full screen resolution doesn't matter because my games run in low resolution. So what this meant for my whole week is that I went through all these old code bases and tried to input all the new input handling, resolution handling and all those kind of things. And it took me a couple of days to get some of these games up and running pretty decently on PC right now. Now this video kind of hooks into what's currently going on social media and in the world. Don't kill games or something like that, or the initiative to have games always available even after a publisher or developer decides to not be able to keep supporting that game. It's a difficult initiative. I understand where it comes from as a gamer. I don't know, it's a very weird thing, but right now there's a lot of stuff happening around it and I'm not sure where it ends. I'm not sure how that unfolds for smaller developers like me, because we certainly cannot do all those things that you expect from bigger developers, and even they can't because there's just so many people mixed into the business. It's stake and shareholders, it's investors, it's not as simple as wanting a game to always keep existing or have the source code available. It's not possible, period. Not in all cases. However, back to my own games, I like to keep all my games running as long as possible because that's where my money comes from. The more games I have live and running out there on as many platforms as possible, the more money is coming in. It's really that simple. There's no higher logic or power or math or whatever needed. More games, multiple platforms means more money. That also means I have been neglecting these 4 games, and there's one other game there. It's called Ink. Not sure if I'm gonna keep that. I'm not sure yet, but for now Stardash, Neoteria, Meganoid and Groundskeeper 2 are up and running, except for Stardash. I still have to do that this week. I'm now recording this on Monday, so when this goes live on Thursday, I hope to have Stardash up and running as well. And that will then mean I have 4 new games ready to go for Steam, and after that to different platforms where all my PC games are now popping up. You might have noticed that left and right. They are popping up. Now, while I was working on all of this last week, Google decided to change up my week a little bit with this email. I'll put it up on screen right now. I think a lot of game developers who have games on Google Play got this email about the right or the same time. It's the time of the year, or time of the once every 2 years, where you need to update all your games to the latest Android API, or else I think the game is, it's not removed. I think the email said something like you won't be able to update it anymore, which is a bit weird. So you're not removing it and I wouldn't be able to update it. I didn't understand that fully. Could have been a translation thing somewhere. Anyway, I decided that I needed to update 16 of my Android games, or 17 of my Android games. It included Ink. I needed to update all of them. That took me a couple of days. It required me to, for some games, just increase the target API. That's 1 digit increased. Build a new version, upload it, done. But most of my games needed a new or changed icon, because that's always the case. Google changes things up and then we have to do these things. So I needed to add more or new icons. Now, it doesn't tell me these things when I upload a version. So I'm right now still waiting for some games to come back that they haven't been approved because of failed criteria. Whatever that criteria will be. Easy to fix, it just requires a lot of tedious time. So that's really the only downside of trying to keep all your games alive. You have to constantly update them somewhere, somehow, for small things, but those small things usually require a little bit more work than you originally planned. And that's the hard part of it, that it took me at least a week. I still have to do a couple of things just to get all these games ready to go on all platforms again. But I think that's worth it. Over time, this week was very much worth it, because I know these games will make money. It might just be a couple of hundred each month, but if you multiply that by 10 years and 12 months a year, that still adds up to a good amount of money. And of course, by that time we will have new games and more games to maintain. But that's why I try to keep all my games as updated as possible, because at that point it becomes less work every time. And that's been the problem right now. Stardash is very outdated. I still have to do it. Its whole interface is just for mobile. It works on something like the Nintendo Switch. It works for gamepads because then you can navigate the buttons. But it doesn't look well on PC. On PC you want just text, press X to start, or options menu, things like that. You need to add that to your game or else people will avoid it anyway. Now this game originally was designed for mobile. I never expected it to go anywhere else. These days I make sure that all my games are designed for a gamepad or keyboard and mouse or touchscreen, and that it's all implemented from the start. For example, Regulators, my recently released game, available on Steam only, but it's implemented with touchscreen. It has gamepad, keyboard and mouse support, so it can easily move to the Switch, Nintendo Switch. That's the version we're working on, sort of working on now. It's coming to mobile. I almost have it up and running already because I implemented all those things from the start, so that makes it a lot easier. And I also know what not to do for mobile screens, and also know what not to do for the PC market. So there is some code left and right to make sure both markets get the best version for their audience. And that's really how I try to design all my games since the last 5-6 years. And before 2015 it was purely mobile. At 2015 I started implementing gamepad and keyboard, but I wasn't really sure how to do it in the best way. So early games, they have a bit of a mixed response here and there, but I got better and better at it. In my last couple of games, Gauntlet of Power, Regulators, Space Ground 3, they're fully ready to go for the PC market. They don't look like mobile games at all, even though they will have a mobile version at some point. Also, sorry, I just got distracted by Serious Lion on the Discord. Friedel, we're trying to run Meganoid on something new, but it didn't run at 60 frames per second. But I think we're there now, judging by the stuff he's mailing me or sending me. So anyway, distraction everywhere. I'm not even sure what I wanted to say with this video, except there are 4 new games coming to Steam. Old games, but new games. And it's not so much that they are gonna make a big splash when they launch on Steam, but they will be able to go into discounts, bundles, things, other platforms, spread out into the marketplace, and I know they will over time do money. And that's really still the thing I need as Orangepixel. It's a lot of fun creating games, but if they don't make money, I cannot do this full time, obviously. So 4 new games coming to Steam over time. I'm not sure how we're gonna do that. I'll do this together with Handy Games, who are now distributing most of my PC versions, or all of my PC games at this moment, all of my PC games. We'll roll this out over time. I'm not in a rush to get them out quickly. But it feels good to have them updated, and I enjoyed play testing them because Neoteria is a lot of fun. Horizontal shooters, they don't make them anymore. They make them, but then it's a bullet hell game, and I don't like bullet hell games where you have to avoid all the bullets. I find the other classic shooter more interesting, where you have to avoid enemies that shoot a few bullets. But over time that whole genre changed into a bullet hell, or then faded out, because I think a lot of people just were not into that. I don't know, a new shooter game could be cool, but you would have to do a lot of things that modern games do. Maybe be able to completely customize your ship or something, or maybe also land the ship and run around a little bit. Oh, I got cool game ideas, I just don't have time to work on it. Anyway, Meganoid, also pretty cool game. I'm renaming that to Meganoid Chronicles. Originally Meganoid, the first original Meganoid in 2011. I'm not sure if I have video for it, but if I have, I'll show it now. This game set the current path of Orangepixel. Before Meganoid on Android, I was trying to come up with a game that would work on mobile, and there was a lot of stuff you could do at that point. There was a lot of stuff that was new, rotating your device suddenly, shaking your device. All these things weren't available at that point. Younger developers go like, huh? Trust me, this was new in 2009. This was a whole new market to figure out what works and what doesn't. Most of those things simply didn't work, so we're now just using touchscreen. But you could do so much more with it, because it knows when it's rotating, when it's moving. There is a lot more you can do with it, but you're also limiting yourself to mobile at that point. Anyway, at 2011, I was done with all of those things and I just wanted to create a fun game. Meganoid was that game. I released it for free with advertising in it. It did pretty well, and it did very well. I think well over 1 million downloads, not sure, I think it well over. It did very well, and from there on I decided to just create games I really want to create and want to play. So that spawned Gunslugs, Heroes of Loot, Stardash, a lot of cool games that just kept Orangepixel floating. And then after Meganoid 1 I tried to create Meganoid 2, but I want to do it in an Indiana Jones type arena, and that just didn't feel like a sequel to Meganoid, so I called it Meganoid 2 Grandpa's Chronicles. That was a weird long title. The game did well on mobile, but then in 2017 I recreated a whole new Meganoid experience, which was Meganoid. It's called Meganoid. I think originally it was Meganoid 2017. My tip here is never ever 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 add a year to your game, unless it's in the very very far future that you're never gonna be alive when that future arrives. Naming it 2017 was stupid, because it would be outdated a year later and people wouldn't buy it unless I would have a Meganoid 2018, 2020, 2024, and I didn't create that many Meganoid games anymore. So don't date your game with a literal date. Anyway, that created a whole weird vibe for Meganoid 2, because it was Meganoid 2, but now the new game is called Meganoid. It's messy. I understand that. So we're now going to call it Meganoid Chronicles to make it even more messy. The PC version will be called Meganoid Chronicles. Over time I'm slowly also trying to change it on mobile left and right. We might also bring these games to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Neoteria especially could be very well on the Switch. Groundskeeper is already there. Stardash is also on the Switch. So it would just be Meganoid Chronicles and Neoteria. Could be very cool and fun games for the Switch and Atari VCS. You see, these games are still going places, and that's why I try to keep them up and running. End of video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below if you have nothing to add. Keyword for today is Meganoid. Very messy. Meganoid, whatever you want to add behind that. Meganoid 2, Meganoid 3, Meganoid Chronicles, Meganoid Classic, Meganoid, Noid, I don't know. Whatever you want. I'll take it. Okay, see you next week. Bye.